This is my Toshiba Qosmio X505 Q830 gaming computer. It started its life with an i7 720QM processor, 4 gigs of 1066 DDR3 RAM, and a 320 gig hard drive. I'm not going to go through all the upgrades I've done to this over time, just what it currently has. Go here. And please bear with me, I have a new tripod and a new camera here, so at any rate, I upgraded to the i7 920XM processor. I initially had some issues with this processor, found out it was power related. Once I got that resolved, this processor runs great. I have 16 gig of 1333 megahertz DDR3 RAM. I did some research online and found instances where people were running the 920XM with 16 gigs of RAM. I gave it a shot and it worked. I've also read where people are running 16 gigs of RAM with the i7 720QM, so that should be a possibility to you guys that are sticking with the 720QM processor. I also upgraded from a standard hard drive to a 120 gig OCZ Solid 3 SSD drive. With those mods, this thing is definitely fast and it runs very efficiently. If I can get it to go in here. Usually at idle it sits between 10 and 12% on the RAM and 0 to 1% on the processor. When I'm doing online gaming, the RAM jumps up to maybe like 20% and the processor will go between 10 and 50% depending on how hard it's running. But this thing barely breaks a sweat now, and graphics are super smooth. So the only issue I do have with this setup is when you go into properties, the Windows Experience Index, you can see that it's, again, sorry for my tripod here, but Windows Experience Index is grayed out. I cannot run the Windows Experience Index. This is the setup when I had the i7 720QM and 8 gigs of RAM. When I try running Windows Experience Index now, it gets so far and it crashes. I've done some research and found that this is something that people are experiencing, and it could be video card related, it could be due to the 920XM processor. Some people say you need to delete some files and try again. I haven't gotten too far with this yet, but if you have any insight into it, please let me know. But it doesn't hinder the performance of the system in any way. This thing runs great. I've been online gaming with it for hours on end with no overheating issues. Of course, I do use the Arctic Silver thermal compounds, so that definitely helps with cooling. So at any rate, here it is. Hope this information helps if you're looking for upgrades for your X505.